welcome to Ask Win. And this morning with me, I'm lucky to have Christine. And Christine is a coach, so I'm going to let Christine take it away.
Well, good morning, Wynn. Thank you for having me here. And looking forward to having a conversation with you and sharing whatever information we can to empower your audience, specifically in the area of my expertise, which is helping people write, publish, and promote transformational books to help them get their message out in the world and make a bigger difference. So you can ask me anything, and we'll have some fun.
We'll have some fun at that. And now, okay, I don't know if you know this, but I publish books myself. So this is not my first time in the rodeo. Christine is publishing books. But what would you say to the person who's sitting in their cubicle right now listening to this podcast with their headphones in, of course, and they want to publish a book? They just want to publish a book. They think, oh, I want to publish a book like Wynn and Christine. What would you say to them?
Well, publishing a book, first thing you need to decide is if you have a large enough platform and audience to go the traditional route of publishing, because if you do, then you'd want to, deep dive into discovering what it takes to write an excellent book proposal so that you can pitch that proposal to an agent who can hopefully sell it to a publisher and go that route. Now, in today's day, most people who want to have a book published do not have the platform, which means all of your all of your publicity, all of your programs, all of your speaking engagements, the size of your email list and your social media reach and your podcast listeners, all of that stuff makes up your platform. And because the publishing industry is so different than what it was even 5, 10, certainly it's like night and day from 15 years ago for sure, it is more and more difficult for authors that don't already have a large following to get a traditional publishing contract. But if you do, then you do not, if you're writing nonfiction, you don't want to write the book first. You want to write the book proposal first. On the other hand, if you realize that perhaps you don't have a large, group of fans already who are eager to buy your books, literally the publishers want to know that you could probably sell, 2,000 to 5,000, even up to 10,000 books relatively quickly. If you're not in a position to do that, then you want to be looking at sort of the independent publishing route, which there you do not necessarily need to write the book proposal first. In that case, you would begin with the process of writing the book. And there are, a gazillion different programs and, ways that can help you to write that book. The thing that I'm going to point out to you and sort of where my niche in this market is I firmly believe that in order to write a fantastic book, which if you're going to take the time to write a book, you want it to be excellent. You don't want to just throw something together and, crank it out in a weekend and, see it out published in 30 days, but have it not be the highest, most powerful, and best representation of you, your message, your work, your wisdom on the page. So you really want to focus on building a solid foundation first before you start writing. And if you want to, when we can go into, some of the things that you need to have in that foundation before you start writing. Otherwise, you could be writing a book sort of into no man's land without a clear direction, without a clear purpose, without a clear audience, and you'll end up really lost, and the book kind of goes nowhere because it doesn't have any foundation, it doesn't have any legs, and it can't get any traction. So if you're sitting there yourself thinking, man, I've been thinking I want to write a book for years, and maybe now listening to Wynn and Christine, it's actually time, like you're getting that tap on the shoulder. Build foundation first before you just start writing, and determine which path is going to be best for you. Published with a traditional publisher or independently, through yourself or through a company that can help you do that.
I definitely agree. And here's a secret, you guys. I actually built a pretty massive fan base before I even wrote I Come a Win. I had a fan base built up before I even wrote I Come a Win. So when that book came out, not only were my friends and family buying it, my fan base was buying it. Everyone was so excited to see my work, but now I even have a stronger presence because of this podcast. So I agree with Christine 100%. Before you start writing, you need a solid fan base. And let me tell you a little bit of a secret. Even though traditional publishers are rejecting my book, I'm not giving up hope yet. I'm not giving up hope yet on that one. But traditional publishers, agents specifically ask for your website. They ask for your Twitter handle. So I gave them my Twitter handle because they want to see the return on investment, because they want to see, will this book sell with Penguin, Random House, or whichever we throw it at, because they want their money too. Trust me, they want their money too. And even though the advances want to go, traditional insiders tell me to ask for a smaller advance, and then you'll see what they say and look at the content very carefully. But now we have the industry of self-publishing, which doesn't cost you anything. But it's interesting that Christine is saying build a fan base before you write the book. Don't do it backwards. Don't write the book and we then build a fan base. You'll be up creek without a paddle. You do.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree with you on that. Obviously, we both believe how important it is. And, you know, it's interesting. There are some people out there who maybe just feel like, I just have to write this book for myself. Like they need to go through the process of writing the book, of sharing their message, of getting it down the page for their own purposes. And if that's you, like, then you don't need to worry about building your fan base or building a platform or developing something huge out of the book. For some of you listening, it might just be that you know it's in you and you've got to get it out, no matter what. And it might be that maybe your close family and friends, you know, you might have 100 people read the book, not 1,000 or 10,000 or whatever it might be. And, you know, that's okay. So I think the most important thing as you go through this process of, you know, realizing, oh my gosh, I want to write this book, is really asking yourself why. You know, well, why am I writing this book? What is the purpose? Because when you're clear on that, it can help you choose the right path. You know, and some people, it's like, it's a legacy piece for my family, for myself and my family. I just need to tell my story. And if that's the case, that's a different experience than someone who wants to, you know, build a 6 or perhaps 7-figure business, you know, based on the teaching of their book because they're a coach, a consultant, a trainer, you know, what have you. That's a whole different ball game. As it is a very different ball game if you, you know, do have a fan base and you want to get a traditional publisher, that's different too. So first you really need to do an honest assessment and just figure out, well, where am I and what are my goals for the book? What is the purpose in doing this? What do I hope to achieve? And if you can answer that for yourself honestly, like really take a look at what it is that you desire for yourself as the author of this book, for your readers, right? How do you want to impact their lives? For your business, if you have one, or maybe you don't even want to build one around your book, and that's okay. But you've got to know these things first because your approach will be different. The path you take along the writing, you know, publishing, promoting journey for your book will be very different based on your intention and your purpose for doing it in the first place. So you gotta start there Or you could end up, spending a year going down a certain path and then discovering, like that's the wrong path for my purpose with this book. So you got to know why you're doing it and what you want from it on many levels first. And then you can choose your path and have it be the right path instead of wasting time, money, and energy down the wrong path.
Yes, because we don't want any in book publishing. No, we don't want that. Now, I still publish in the independent publishing world, I use Create Space. Since publishing I come away, I actually have a small publishing deal with a small independent press, which starts August 35th. Yay me. And now I'm trying to get traditionally published. And do traditional publishers actually look at your back catalog, or do they just take a book that they think seems fit to them? Do they look at your back catalog? I know they look at your Twitter, but I am wondering whether I should tell them I have a back catalog.
In terms of what you should be telling the publishers?
In terms of what I should be telling the agent, should I say in my query letters that I have a back catalog of independent published books?
It all depends. For those of you who have already published books on your own or with a small publisher or a hybrid publisher, and then you want to go get an agent and try to get a bigger publisher, it really depends on how the current books, how those, backlisted books have sold. Because there are reports, there's a service called BookScan, and any agent, any publisher at any time, they can just go right into the database, look up your title, and they will see how many books you sold. So you might tell them, I've sold 5,000 copies of this book, but if it's not listed in the BookScan reports, then, they don't know that that's true. Now, it might be true that you sold the books in the back of the room at a speaking engagement, and they're not recorded book sales. It might be that every client of yours say that, purchased a coaching session, got a book for free. Those don't count as book sales in the reports. So this is why it really depends, because if you've done a few books and they haven't sold, well, meaning they haven't sold at least, 1,000, 2,000 copies or more, it might not be to your benefit to tout that you have these other books. And like I said, but the agent and the publisher, if they search your name, they can go see what books you've done and see for themselves how many quote unquote official copies you have sold. And official meaning they've been sold through a channel that reports to BookScan, like Amazon, like Barnes and Noble, like any of the, physical bookstores, like that you can go walk into and buy the book off the shelf, whether it be a chain or an independent, iBooks, all of those have reporting with BookScan. So those are counted. But any books that you sell just independently on your own, through your own website or through your own, speak engagements or book signings, those books are not counted in the quote unquote official report. So it just depends, on how the book did and, those sorts of things for what you might or might not want to promote, if you will, as you go pitch your next book.
And I know that agents look at Amazon all the time to pick up the next bestseller. I actually have a friend who is working on a book right now because an agent listened to a podcast, approached her and said, do you want to write a book based on this? And she's she's working on that right now. She's also the editor of my podcast and several other podcasts. So you never know who's listening to your podcast or who's looking for you on Amazon. You might be surprised if the book really takes off well, who may be looking for you on Amazon, and you may be surprised if you write a really good query letter explaining the book, the agent may take you on. But you have to get short and to the point. You can't go on and on and on and on and on in the query letter. Agents don't have time for that. They look at 1,000 manuscripts a day and only pick about 10, I believe. And my query letter was way too long, so I had it redone by my publisher, who's my small publishing deal, and they shortened up because they know what they're doing better than I do. So I think when I try this query letter again with agents will see that I've done what I've done and possibly pick me up. But it's nothing having to do with you. You may have written a very good book, baby, but the agents still may not like you because they're trying to get the ROI on their books. I mean, they want money too, let's face it. So, Christina, do you help people with query letters or no? You just help people as a support system?
You know what? We do have a lot of our clients who end up traditionally publishing, but we do not specifically work with them to write the query letters and things like that. Now, granted, I am hosting a writing contest this year with over $130,000 of prizes, and the first page that people submit to us in their book proposal is that letter, is a simple one-page letter, and we sort of, provide a template for people to do that as part of our contest. But generally speaking, we focus on working with people who are not necessarily out there to get a traditional publishing contract. They want to get their book done. They want it to happen faster. They want to maintain rights to their book. They want to make a higher profit for the sales of their book, and they don't necessarily want to give away rights, give away the bulk of the profit of their sales, and take a lot longer by going the traditional route. They want to do it a little bit more quickly. So those are the people we work with. So we don't specialize in helping people with the query letter just because most of our authors, that's not the right path for them. I mean, we have some who have gone on to, do multiple books with publishers and, sell foreign rights and things like that. But it's not our specialty. That sort of happens as an aside, if you will, for what we do over here. We're really committed to empowering people to do the writing, the writing of the book and get it published sooner rather than later.
I understand completely because I win, it would have been 7 years ago, and I win in a depression, and in a depression grief formed, which I finally got out of yesterday, thank you very much. It took me 7 years to get out of that, and it took this podcast, it took my work out there, and it took a lot of soul searching, but I finally figured out what I want to do with my life and what I have been doing with my life, and I think I'll stick to it. But I agree, the independent publishing avenue is a lot faster. You get a lot more creative control than you do the traditional publishing route, but at the same time, it's the dream for some authors, I'm not going to say every author, to have a traditional publishing deal. So, Christina, are you considered an accountability for those people that get stuck in the writing process, or do you not do that as well?
No, one of our programs in particular, we are sticklers about accountability, and we check in with our clients every single week. We track them through the entire program to make sure they're doing what they said they're going to do. They're clear on what they need to do, that we know if they have questions, so that if they do have a question, we can answer it. So that's not an excuse for them not to take the next step with their book. So certainly with my private coaching clients, there's a very high level of accountability because I'm talking with them and I know exactly what they're supposed to be doing, and they know exactly what they're supposed to be doing. And, before we talk next, you're going to have your outline done or your introduction written. And the next time we talk, I know whether they have their outline done and their introduction written or not. So there's a super high level of accountability there. But then even inside of our year-long group program called My Time to Write, where we take people through the entire writing process and they end up with their manuscript. And some even end up, well into the editing and publishing process in the course of that year. But with that program, every single week, we check in with every single client. And we are wanting to make sure that whatever they said they were going to do to move their book forward, they did. So,
yes,
we can't hold everyone accountable because literally we serve thousands of authors a year. But, the higher levels of service, we definitely hold people accountable. We can't do it for everyone in our community because that would be tens of thousands of people. And I don't have the staff to hold that many people accountable.
Yes, but there's no getting away with it. There's no promising, twisting, I'll do this and not do it. It's like getting your hands caught in the cookie jar. No twisting won't allow you to get your hands caught in the cookie jar. I know you will. And so, twisting, how much would it be to work with you? I know you're running a little bit of affiliate program right now, which I'm involved with. I forgot to tell you guys that, but I'm involved with. Can you explain more about your affiliate program and how much it is to actually work with you? I consider you the fairy godmother of books, by the way.
Well, it really depends. The least expensive, offering that we have is a $67 robust training that you do everything you need to know, from the 20,000-foot view, educates you on writing, publishing, and promoting your book. Not in the trenches, not hand-holding, not in-person retreats, not coaching, but just straight training. That's, $67. And then, our fees go all the way up to $42,000 for, personal mentorship with me, going on writing retreats in places like Costa Rica or the Mexican Riviera down in Tulum or the Bahamas or, here in my hometown in York, Pennsylvania. And that also includes getting your book published. So, no matter where someone enters into our world, our business, we try to position our offerings to have something that fits everyone. So, anywhere in that spectrum, depending upon budget, depending upon need, depending upon, ability, depending upon needs for accountability, how much guidance, how much hand-holding, how much, the more someone can do on their own, then they'll do great in one of my home study programs where they, we even have an ebook that we sell for like $100 that people have read and then written their books. So, I try to design the business so that anyone who wants help in writing, publishing, and promoting their book has access to that. I mean, we even have thousands of people a year that we serve for free. But there's also a little bit of, you get what you pay for. I know that the people who are willing to put a little skin in the game and who are willing to invest in what they say their goals and dreams are, that those are the ones who are more likely, I believe, to actually achieve the result than the ones who aren't willing to invest in themselves. And I realize that for some people, the $100 investment feels like $42,000. And there's some people where the $42,000, at the higher end is just sort of, a drop in the bucket. It just depends where you're at. But we try to make a place here for anyone, no matter where they are, so that we can serve them and help them.
I definitely agree. If you put skin in the game on your book may be a number one bestseller or not, but all depends on how well it sells. And get an editor. Please get an editor. Please. Number one, if you're going to do this with Christine or by yourself, get the editor, because I cannot read a book that's poorly edited. I can book a book that has a crappy cover on it, but I cannot read a book on my Kindle that is poorly edited. I'm sorry, but if you guys want to publish a book, it needs to be edited, and Amazon will not help you with that anymore. They pulled their corporate offices, I think, about a year ago in North Carolina, and so they can't help you with that. But at the same time, Amazon will let anyone and anything get published, so you have to get an editor. I don't care how much it costs, but you have to get an editor.
I couldn't agree more. I don't know about you, Wynn, but when I see those books, the ones that people just crank out super fast, and I don't even think they do more than, running a spell check on it. And then they send it, it's like, okay, done, there's my book. And it looks horrible, and it reads miserably. The grammar is incorrect, the punctuation is, wrong. They've missed capitalizations. They have typoed words all over the place. And, some people say that, it's not very kind to judge a book by its cover. Certainly it's not. But in the book world, people do. They judge the author based on the quality of what is presented. And if the author doesn't care enough about their work to hire an editor to make it the most amazing experience possible for their readers, then in that case, sometimes writing a book, because we always talk about, writing a book builds credibility and confidence and courage and gets you exposure and visibility, and it really can radically transform your life when you do it right. But if you do it wrong and you put out shoddy, less than stellar work, it also reflects on you as an author. So you've got to put your best foot forward and develop something that you can be proud of for years to come. And I think this is one of the challenges that I see in so much of the industry now. Write it fast, throw together some blog posts, just, put a few thousand words on a page and slap a cover on it and, get it published and call it a book, and you can do it tomorrow. And what happens is the quality and the caliber of so many of the books that are being published today in what I call that sort of microwave method, like just crank it out and get it done. They are books that it doesn't take long for the author to cringe over when they really look at it and compare it to what, the other books are in their genre in the industry. And, they have this cringe factor. And I've seen people who either taken the book down or done a second edition relatively quickly because they realized that the first one was it was not putting their best foot forward. And if you're going to take the time, invest the energy and the money to actually write your book, you might as well put your best foot forward. So don't rush it just to get it done and sacrifice quality. You want yourself represented in the highest possible way when you put that book out in the world, because it's an extension of you. It is not just, this thing that's out there. It is like a fifth limb. It is an extension of who you are. Yes. And you want it to represent the best of who you are, not who you are, as someone who seems like they don't really care and don't pay attention and just wanted to get it done to get it done. That does not serve you in your author journey, for sure. So good point there, Wynn.
Well, I said to one, and this was back when I didn't have a podcast, like when I didn't have every mentor on the planet in the book publishing industry. I was doing it myself. But one of the things I said is after I got the blessing from my mom to write this book, I said, okay, if I'm going to start this journey, I'm going to get an editor day one, and I don't care how much it's costing. I was writing her checks at the time. I was delivering them to her. But that really solidified my book because it was edited well, and of course I did the cover myself, which that's a whole different story in itself. I learned from that since, but that really solidified my book because family, even though family loves you, they're not editors. They are not editors. You can let your family read your book. Of course, my dad reminded me to put a really important date in my book, in my original book, and he's read my book since, but he'll put me, I love you in the on it, which basically means I love your work, I don't want to hurt you, and I'm like, Dad, you're not helping me as author. He will still put the I love you in them on it, even 12 books, even 10 books, 12 books in. And I'm like, Dad, you're my dad. I love you too, but please, just give me honest feedback. Nope, he won't give me honest feedback. So I think the best advice for you guys is to get accountability buddy, whether it's Christine, myself, or someone else, and get an editor because it's going to save you in the long run, and then you don't have to cringe at your book and just a good time to look at it or look inside it, and then it will sell like hotcakes, or so we hope. So, Christine, what is your closing advice for this interview, and then we'll go on to where people can find you and all that good stuff.
Well, I think the most important thing for y'all to, consider if you really are feeling that urge and that desire to write a book, that if you have been given the desire, right, that seed of becoming an author and sharing your wisdom, your message, your guidance, your information, your know-how, your stories on the pages of a book, that seed is not planted in everyone's heart. So if it has been planted in your heart, I believe it's been planted there because it is a seed that's meant to grow and come to fruition. So now your job, as we talked about in the very beginning of this podcast today, is really to discover and ask yourself, the big questions. Why am I doing this? What's the purpose? Who do I want to serve? What do I want to have happen for me personally as a result of writing this book? And get that clarity first. But if the seed's been planted, water it, nourish it, fertilize it, give it life. Because if you've been given the insight and that desire to want to write a book, I firmly believe that there is someone else out there, and perhaps many other someone else's out there, who are meant to read that book and really need to hear your wisdom, your words, your insight, so that their life can be touched by what it is that you're here to share. So that's what I encourage you to keep in mind as we go into closing up the podcast today.
Well, that's wonderful, Christine. That's wonderful. Now, where can people find you, and how can people get a hold of you if they want to work with you at any level? And as we said, the higher levels, you get Christine personally, but where can people find you?
Well, there are two places that you can go. You can go to transformationalauthor.com. Again, that's transformationalauthor.com. And that is a free training that I'm hosting this month of June in 2018. So if you're listening then, be sure to go there and hop on board for that amazing training. Again, transformationalauthor.com. It's a training that has, several New York Times bestselling authors, literary agents, publishers, book marketing experts, successful self-published authors, and other industry insiders to really show you and teach you everything you need to know about writing, publishing, and promoting your book. It's a very robust education, and there is an opportunity to actually participate in that training for free. So again, that's transformationalauthor.com. And then my own website, which is going through a bit of an overhaul behind the scenes, but it's still up and running, and you can certainly get in touch with me there and learn a little bit more about some of my different programs by going to just myname.com, KristineKloser.com, which is spelled Christine, Christine, and Kloser is spelled KLOS like Sam, ER.com. So transformationalauthor.com or KristineKloser.com, and that will, get you to the place you can get in touch with us and see how we might be able to help you out.
And Christine, you don't have any books out yourself, do you?
I've written or co-written. I think at last count it was around 20 books. So I do have several books out there. Yeah, yep. I've done a number of anthologies where I've brought together groups of people for a common purpose to share their stories and their wisdom in an anthology. I've done, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I've done about 13 or 14 of those. And then I have a couple of my own books as well. So, yeah, it's, I don't get to write. What's that?
Where can people find those? Where can people find all your work?
Oh, well, if you go to Amazon.com and just look up my name, you'll see my books come up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would probably be the best thing to do because everyone that's available is available there on Amazon.
Well, thank you, Christine, for coming on and sharing your information. And as I said, I Come a Win, the book that we talked about today. My book could be found on Amazon as well. If you guys just type in Win, W-I-N, Kelly, K-E-L-L-Y, Charles, C-H-A-R-L-E-S, and just hit the return button on that. You guys will see I Come a Win and purchase it or give me feedback on it and just enjoy. And if you do the same for Christine's books, just give her feedback by leaving a review. That helps. And I hope you enjoyed the podcast episode. And I thoroughly enjoyed talking to Christine this morning. And I hope you guys got the itch to write a book. But if it's not in your heart, please don't do it. Please don't put together a book by a blog post. I know that other people will scream at me for saying that and they'll go, but we want high quality books out there. You heard a book coach talk to you guys this morning, and all she and I want is high quality books. They don't have to be Stephen King level, but they at least have to be higher quality than a coloring book. And so you guys heard it here first. And if you guys want to go follow Christine, you can. We'll have all her information in the show notes. And I hope you guys enjoyed another fabulous episode of Ask Win. And I'll catch you guys later. Bye, you guys.